Oh, we have to wait for the bomb to go off?
Yes, we have to wait for the bomb to go off.
It's going to go off. Here it goes.
Ooh, look at it go.
Ooh, it's almost done.
I hope people on Facebook can see this.
Whoa! Oh my God! It's like I'm there.
Okay, and it's Jody.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this monthly edition of Trivial Debates, the ultimate pop culture challenge. Ooh, challenge. We have some awesome new debates this month. Apparently, I can't read. Each week, our panelists will be judged and scored on their arguments for facts and passion. I think. Well, there's probably more there, but my word wrap isn't working.
Facts, passion, and creativity.
Oh, whoa, oh! There's somebody talking in my head. Anyway, our panelists this week. This is where you put him in, Dave.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know what order. Jeff Mader!
What's up, Jody? What's going on?
Welcome, Jeff.
I'm ready. I'm ready to take these
And we
points
have
down.
Kevin Millard. Welcome, Kevin.
Oh, I'm not going to be crazy like you guys.
Come on.
No way.
Jeff is already in the lead. And we have Chris Seymour. Ooh, look at the enthusiasm with Chris. So basically how this show works, there are 6 rounds plus a speed round by our 2 top panelists. We'll be judging categories such as movies, television, music, sports, history, and of course a wild card question where anything could go, guys. We want to keep people passionate and personally mean to each other. I think you spelled that wrong, but anyway, we'll go with it. But let's try to be as positive as possible without personal attacks or anything, unless I think they're really funny. Keep in mind that you can also skip if you're listening to us on YouTube or one of those other services. You can skip to the time index for the particular debate that you're interested in. And remember to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. All links and information can be found in the description. And we also have some other podcasts as well, which I'm going to pitch at the end. I've decided I'm changing the format, so I'm going to pitch it at the end.
Good call, Jody.
I'm going to pitch it at the end.
I support you.
He's going off script.
It's fine. I can go off script. I'm the host. Anyway, let's get this started. So just to remind all contenders, we're going to have 2 minutes of a particular time. I'm going to ask each one of you guys a question. And then at that point, you have 2 minutes to reply. And then we'll eventually have a little bit of a summary at the end. So the movie question today is, what is the best 80s movie franchise? Now, keep in mind, the first movie of the franchise has to have been made in the 80s. And let's start with Jeff Mader.
Okay. Do you want me to just tell you the answer?
What was your question? What was your answer to that?
Okay, I picked Indiana Jones. Okay. Indiana Jones are they're classic movies. You might not love everything about every one of the movies, and I will include the 4th one. I know I'm going to get ribbed on the 4th one going down. That's going to be the counter argument here. But the 4th one still introduces things that are particularly interesting that I find. Even though it's kind of a bad movie, there are some things that I take from that movie. I'm entertained by it. I like the UFO things. The government's admitting they're real. So, I mean, but the original movies, the first 3 movies, are also just classic movies. They're doing homage to the early 20s. It's so fantastic. I mean, you have so many great. Spielberg at his best. It's the Jews taking revenge on the Nazis. Moving on.
All right. Solid. All right, let's reset the clock.
You only needed a minute for that. So
only a minute. Excellent. Good work, Jeff. Let's go with Kevin Millard next. What did you pick?
I picked the only choice, Back to the Future.
Another solid one.
It's Christopher Lloyd's one of his most memorable roles. One of the most memorable roles for Marty McFly. Or for... See, I don't even know his real name. It's
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Come on, man.
3 solid movies. I know that some of you don't like the 3rd one. I think it's great. And the way you can tell that this movie, this franchise is the best, is they've never tried to remake it because they know that they will screw it up. No one will even touch it because it's near perfect the way it is.
I don't think a remake necessarily means that a franchise is bad. There's been a lot of remakes of classic franchises.
Yeah, but this one, no one will even dare try.
All right, Kevin. Thank you. Chris Seymour, what did you pick?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. My first choice was Indiana Jones, and my second choice was Back to the Future.
They were.
So you're gonna go with my third choice, and after thinking about it, I think it's the best option. My option is Ghostbusters.
Okay. Another
The reason
solid
I like
franchise.
this movie is you know what? There's some scientists. You know, the movie starts out. Some scientists discover some friggin' paranormal activity in the library. They've got their like little things, like whatever they're doing with them. I don't know. These little things that go up. Like in the 80s, that was cool, right? Like today we got cell phones. Well, back then is like a cell phone with like little things that go up. They discovered paranormal activity in the library, and then they decided to open Ghostbusters after discovering this, and they rented a friggin' fire hall, and it was these three scientists, played by like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, like amazing actors in this movie. There was the black guy. His name was Winston. I forget who plays him.
Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson. Okay. You know what? He came in and joined the team. This movie, you know what? Is just a childhood memory. It's got a mix of humor. It's got action. It's got a little bit of horror. I mean, you got Sigourney Weaver in this movie. Sigourney Weaver is, she plays Dana, right? She's the one who first calls the Ghostbusters because she opens her fridge and Zool is in the fridge. And we're all like, ooh, who is Zool? And then you got
this is why there's 2 minutes, by the way.
He's got 7 seconds.
You got Rick Moranis in this movie as well. So this movie's got just a cast, and at the end of it, like Rick Moranis.
You're done.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I forgot about the time limit thing. I would request another minute on the Indiana.
All right, you can have your minute.
Okay, all right, Indiana Jones. Okay, just one of the best movie franchises going. It's Harrison Ford at his best. I mean, without him, like kind of like what Kevin was saying about Back to the Future, they'll never remake Back to the Future. But like at the same time, like Harrison Ford was asked a bunch of times, like, who do you think should play the new young Indiana Jones when they reboot it? He goes, they can't. I am Indiana Jones. You can't, recast me. Is basically what he said, which they could. They did in Han Solo. But they won't touch it with Indiana Jones for whatever reason until they can make money. They will eventually, and I think they will with Back to the Future too. But anyway, Indiana Jones. What's cool about Indiana Jones is the fact that he's like this archaeologist, but he's also kind of like this badass that travels the world by map, kind of like the Muppets. He has so many different encounters with the supernatural, with history. He explains things along the way, kind of like in the. I feel like
your minute's done there, Jeff. All right. Okay. There we go. All right, Kevin, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds if you want it. No, Chris. We have a format here. We can keep going. All right, time for some rebuttal questions here. Chris Seymour.
Do I have another 30 seconds or no?
No, you don't.
Oh.
You used all yours. Yeah, see?
I love that. I have more to say.
We need to bring up the volume on that a bit, though, because it's hard to hear it. Anyway, sorry, that's a message for our sound crew. Which is Dave Mader. Anyway, Chris, question for you: What makes Ghostbusters a better movie than Back to the Future?
You know what? These guys are like friggin' hilarious. They're like, you know what? Nobody's ever gonna remake these movies because nobody fucking wants to.
They did. They did remake the movie.
Ghostbusters gets remade all the time. There was a female version. There's another Ghostbusters coming out in 2021. It's because people want to see more Ghostbusters.
And in all of those movies, there is exactly one good movie. This is what's the best franchise.
Oh.
Ghostbusters 2 sucks. Ghostbusters the remake sucks.
I like Ghostbusters 2, but the remake is awful. So it should
Ghostbusters 2 was a little bit more campy, I think.
You know how much money though Ghostbusters made off this franchise with the toys, with the video games, with everything that came out after?
Yeah, and then they never made it. They never made a third one.
It doesn't matter if the movies are good or not. make it the best franchise.
I don't agree with that. I like the second one quite a bit. There's a lot of good jokes in it. Ghostbusters is a comedy. It's not supposed to be serious. Like,
yeah, but it's supposed to be funny, and it's not.
All right. I think Chris has made his point.
Horror. It's
all right, gentlemen.
All genres mixed into one.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you, Jeff. Indiana Jones.
Yes.
How do you feel that that's better than the Ghostbusters franchise? What makes it better?
Oh, Well, there's at least two good movies in my franchise. There's arguably only 1.5 in Chris's. Mine is 2.5 at best. I mean, but at the same time, I feel like my two movies are better than every other movie, even Back to the Future here. I feel like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade are both better than Back to the Future.
Why are they better, Jeff?
They're just funner watches. That you get tired of Back to the Future. Like once you see it once, like you can watch it a few more times, but at a certain point, you just know the time travel things that are about to happen. Yes, you still get those feelings, but I feel like with Indiana Jones, you get to like every time you rewatch that movie, you get to kind of see all like how they did the stunts, or you get to learn something about history. You get to see some awesome special effects.
Yeah, because it's historically accurate.
Okay.
Oh, no,
either way, that doesn't matter. They're movies. It doesn't matter.
Not the point.
All right. Kevin, you'll be the last one for me. Why is Back to the Future franchise? Now, we know it's a very popular franchise, like the other two, actually. What puts that above the rest of the two, do you think?
Because it's 3 solid movies. Jeff said it. There's 1.5 good movies in Ghostbusters, 2 good movies in Indiana Jones. But the question is, what's the best franchise? You got 3 solid movies with Back to the Future. They're fun. They're fun for everyone. You can watch them as a kid, and then they hold up. You watch them as an adult, they're just as entertaining. They don't lose anything.
All right. I'll tell you right now, guys, this is a really hard one for me because all 3 of your picks are all 3 of my favorite 80s franchises. Like, you guys nailed all 3 of them at once. So it's a tough one. I think the person who probably debated the best, I think I'm going to give this one to Kevin.
I knew Kevin was going to win this coming in. I knew as hard as I thought I wasn't going to win this category.
Really? Why?
Because Kevin had his like lackadaisical conviction on his side, plus he had the truth on his side. So it wasn't fair.
Fair enough. All right.
I'm too good. It wasn't fair.
It wasn't a fair fight.
All right.
Well, it wasn't. I think it wasn't fair because both you guys took the movies that I tried to get first.
Well, I will tell you, Chris, just a word of advice. Don't start your lecture off with that.
What? Yeah.
I would have picked those 2 before this one.
I would. Okay. With Kevin, I picked Back to the Future as well first, but then I had to argue for Indiana Jones.
Everybody picked Back to the Future first.
No, I didn't.
Well, no, Chris didn't. Sorry, Chris didn't.
I picked Indiana Jones first.
So the next category we have is TV, guys. What was the worst science fiction-based TV show of all time? And this one is a little bit special to me because I knew Dave wasn't going to be hosting or participating today. So I wanted to make sure that there was a question that really could grind him a bit too. So I think we're going to start with Chris Seymour now.
Okay, the TV show that I chose was The Mist. I'm not even sure that any of you guys saw this movie.
I have seen it.
Saw this TV show.
I saw a little bit of it, yes.
Yeah, me as well. I got to the 3rd episode and I stopped watching. This is why I'm going to say it's the worst sci-fi show. It was an amazing book. It was an amazing book by Stephen King, The Mist. I don't know if everyone's probably saw the movie, right?
Actually, I haven't seen the movie.
You haven't seen the movie? Okay, if you haven't seen the movie, The Mist, I kind of don't want to spoil the ending for you. But the problem with this movie, The Mist, the TV show, is that this eerie mist comes into the town and nobody can go outside.
Yeah.
Because if you go outside, you will get killed. And you're not really sure what kills you out there. You're not really sure.
You never really see it.
You never see it. Like there's people trapped in a mall, and these people get into arguments about what to do and I don't know. It's
very Dawn of the Dead. Yeah.
It's just a horrible sci-fi show because it's all about the relationships between the people stuck in the mall or stuck in their house, and they can't They can't go outside in the mist. And my real problem with this show is that if anyone has actually seen the movie and knows the ending, I'm sure Kevin might or Jeff might actually know the ending of this movie.
No.
You guys don't know?
All right. Anyway,
I don't think in my 2 minutes I have enough time.
He has 24 seconds left.
24 seconds.
But let's just say this: at the end of the movie, it's all solved. It's all wrapped up. We don't need a TV show to do this again.
So you feel it's unnecessary then, the TV
It's
show?
unnecessary.
Okay. Well, that's a good point, I think. All right. Let's go with Kevin Millard next.
I picked a show that is so bad that this will be quick. I don't have much of an answer because I've only seen about 20 minutes. And I picked Babylon 5. And
Really?
this show is so bad, after 20 minutes, I couldn't even look at it anymore. And then I decided doing this podcast, I will be happy to lose this question because I don't know anything about Babylon 5 and I do not want to learn. It's that bad. I hate it.
So your point is it's so bad that you just couldn't even get through the first episode. It was just
no
terrible.
self-respecting person should watch this show, Dave.
But that show actually made it through a few seasons, didn't it?
I believe
yeah,
so. I think Dave, our sound guy, has lost it.
Yeah.
So
that's all I have to say about it.
That's it. All right. Well, that wraps it up, I guess, for you. Jeff Mader.
Okay. I picked a show from YTV back in the day called The Odyssey.
Oh, okay.
Do you know The Odyssey? Any of you guys have watched that show?
I kind of remember, but if you can give me a little bit of a recap, I would appreciate it.
Okay. An 11-year-old Jay Ziegler falls from a tree fort after being pursued by bullies. Okay. So then he goes into like a coma. Okay. And then this kid basically is like, there's the up world and the down world. And in the down world, it's kind of like Wizard of Oz or like Alice in Wonderland. Like he's stuck in like this, like basically Robin Hood kind of like, different reality, basically. Okay.
I think I kind of remember this now. Yeah. Okay.
I used to love the show when I was a kid. It was like one of my favorite things. I loved it. But then I downloaded it, like, I think it was about a year ago when I watched it. And when you go back and you watch like things that are like, have kids in them and it's like a YTV or whatever, and sometimes you remember it's like the best show ever. It's not.
Rarely, but
it's not. It's really bad. I mean, it's kids. I mean, they're kids acting. The writing's okay, but the whole sci-fi premise of the show is actually pretty cool. It's not the problem. It's not the problem with the show. It's the acting. The kids are terrible. So if you're gonna get through the acting of it, it's like it's okay, but I'd rather not have to watch kids act. At least your shows probably have adults acting. I don't know, kind of where I come on the show. It's kind of my argument. Kind of is it's so bad, I loved it at the same time. And that's kind of my
interesting approach.
But it's kind of I took your question and I turned it on its head a little bit, Jody. I was like, he just wants to hear why I hate a certain show or what show was so bad. And this show was bad for different reasons. I loved it, but it was bad for the acting. It's cringy. It's like a cringy show to watch because you're like, oh, that was rough.
That's it. Perfect. All right. I think you summed that up pretty good. Chris, what is the worst element to your show, do you think? Like, is it the acting? Is it the story? What is it?
It's not the acting. It's the storyline. Because the mist is basically there's a fog. This is the whole premise of the show. There's a whole fog in the town, and if you go outdoors, something is going to kill you. Something is going to eat you, or you're going to die somehow.
So you mentioned that the movie was really good, but the show wasn't. So what changed in the story that made that bad?
You know what? I don't care if I give you guys a spoiler alert. Because at the end of the mist, the movie, there's a family that escaped, and then finally their car broke down. So the guy shot his son. His parents, his elderly parents, shot themselves in the head. They shot themselves in the head, so they were dead. And then the army
pulls up, right?
There was no bullets left, and then the army pulls up and fucking clears out everything, and this guy is so distraught because he just killed his whole
family to spare him. Yeah.
Okay.
So I did see this.
There's no need for a TV show about this. It's done.
All right. So what you're saying is no need at all. All right.
No need. All
right. Kevin.
Yep.
I can't really ask you much in the ways of questions because you literally participated in 20 minutes for this show. If you were forced to watch it again, how would you feel about that right now?
Not great. No, I wouldn't do. I would resist.
All right.
So as much as
a firm hate there.
It's visually repulsive, just like Spider-Man. Like it's hard to look at.
Spider-Man?
It's awful.
Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man are awful to look at.
I'll give you that. All right. So, and on top of that, this was awful to look at, is what you're saying?
Yes, it's
okay. Fair enough. All right, Jeff. You mentioned the child actors being the biggest issue for your show. If the show was premised around adults, would it be better?
If the adults were just better actors, or the kids were better actors, I don't know.
So is the acting quality then?
Acting quality, yeah, is what really brought down the show. But I love the concept and I love all the things. But that's what kind of makes the show the worst science fiction show, because like it didn't accomplish what it could have. And science fiction, if it's interesting, is always kind of good. But
you gotta remember though, Jeff, your show was made for kids. It wasn't made for adults.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I loved it when I was a kid. It's exactly what it is. The show, like if you watch a trailer of it, it's like, oh god, this is so like it's like a kid wrote it. So but which makes sense. So that's why you would like it as a kid. But anyway, I think with Kevin's show, okay, I think he would like Babylon 5 if he could just get through the visual repulsion of the show. I think he would actually really like it.
No way.
Well, you don't
First
know.
of all, don't call it my show. It's not my show. I am not taking responsibility for Babylon 5.
You picked it, therefore it's
yours. There's some firm hate going on there. All right.
He hates what he doesn't know, Jody. He hasn't even watched the show.
All right.
Yeah, so he doesn't know.
All right. I have a decision. I'm going to give this one to Chris, actually.
Woo!
He disputed it enough. Kevin doesn't have enough information.
No, I have not.
It's that simple. And I think he even acknowledges it.
I knew it was a throwaway.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Our next topic is music. And I'm just waiting for the title card here. Here we go. What is the worst musical instrument to use in a song? So basically, it has to be a musical instrument, which I believe all three of you guys did pick, so that's good. I think we're going to start with Kevin Millard this time.
All right. I picked the recorder because there is literally no way that anyone ever wants to listen to the recorder.
Yeah,
you could put, in a song, you could put like because my first thought was like a kazoo or something like that. But you could do something good with a kazoo in a song. You can't with a recorder. There's nothing. It doesn't make a single pleasing note at all.
All right.
Is that it?
Short and sweet, I think.
That only took 27 seconds. For the record.
Okay.
No, there's not much more to say about that.
Sometimes you just that's all you need,
That's all you need.
Let's go with Jeff Mader this time.
Okay, I picked an instrument kind of like the recorder but bigger. It's called the serpent. Have you guys ever heard of the instrument called the serpent?
I know of it.
No.
Okay, so it's like this bass wind instrument that looks like a big like curvy serpent, okay, and you blow into it and it's kind of thing, like the recorder, and you have like kind of like the recorder, like three things you touch, and then you kind of it's very similar, but it's even kind of like more annoying to listen to. It's kind of like a cross between a tuba and a recorder. So if you made a recorder louder, it's kind of what a serpent does. Okay, I also have a quote here about the serpent. Wait, I just gotta find it. I gotta pull it up right here. Okay, so according to the Cecil Forsyth Orchestra, the serpent, an early bass ophiolide, the lowest of the keyed wooden instruments, is the most unpleasant sound, sometimes being described as a mastodon's fart. In wind bands of the 18th century, before Adolf Sax perfected valved or piston brass instruments. It was mated with the bassoon. So this is how it was created. And yeah, they think it was few tears have been shed at the demise of the serpent. So it's most people will cry because it was sounded so bad. So that's my pick.
Okay, that's a very good pick. We do have a comment from the crowd, but we're going to wait on that comment, Dave. So I want to hear Chris first, and then we're going to put that comment on screen. So Chris Seymour, tell us, what did you pick?
Can I talk about Kevin's instrument first, the recorder?
You have 2 minutes. If you want to talk about Kevin's instrument, you can talk about it all you want.
I think it's an amazing instrument. I think, you know what the best song is? Remember the theme from The Friendly Giant? Okay, that's all recorder. Anyway,
I will remind you, you're using your 2 minutes to talk about this.
My instrument that I chose is the didgeridoo.
The didgeridoo. I'm very familiar with the didgeridoo.
Are you guys familiar with the didgeridoo?
I love the didgeridoo.
This is a friggin' log. It's a log. It's a wooden log carved, hollowed out.
Yeah,
and
great.
It makes it sound like.
It's more like wow, 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 wow.
Yeah,
no, it doesn't do that. You got the wrong didgeridoo.
What do you mean I got the wrong didgeridoo? It can only make one note. It can't make any other notes. At least your instruments can make more than one note.
But they are unpleasant.
You know what? You know what I would compare the didgeridoo to? The didgeridoo is much like the fucking vuvuzelas that they play at freaking hockey games. Those guys put them up. So what? That's what the didgeridoo does. The same thing. It does the same dang thing.
At least your instrument makes one pleasing note.
The didgeridoo is a warm sound. It's like the same frequency as like a vinyl record. People like it's pleasant to listen to the didgeridoo.
Whatever, Jody. I know you like Eminem. You lose yourself because you chose that.
I do like that song. Yep.
You know, imagine like lose yourself in the moment, and then all of a sudden you got.
A didgeridoo definitely wouldn't fit in an Eminem song.
Would that make the song better or worse?
I believe it would make it worse.
That would make the song totally worse.
Yeah,
I'm done.
All right.
Okay, nothing to do with.
All right. We have a comment from the audience, which happens to be somebody who is close to Kevin Millard, being his lovely wife. Anyone who is a parent or school-aged kids understands how awful listening to the recorder is. I will agree, as someone who is a parent of two. That's definitely a very valid point.
I don't even know how music teacher isn't the profession with the highest suicide rate. Like, why is it dentist and not music teacher? The recorder is awful.
Very good question.
The recorder could be used well in a song, though. I think there's a moment. If you did like the Beatles, "Fool on the Hill," there's a whole recorder. Like there's a flute solo. You could do that with a recorder. It would sound fine.
No, it
would. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. It would fine. It would sound fine. But with the serpent, it would be repulsive.
All right.
With the didgeridoo, you couldn't even play any other notes. You could
you would at least have one pleasing note. You don't have that with the recorder. You don't have a single pleasing note.
The didgeridoo is an Australian treasure. How dare you?
All right. I want to hear between actually Kevin and Jeff, because I think Chris has already made his point pretty well. Jeff, why is yours worse than the recorder? Now, keep in mind, the recorder is something that pretty much every school child has learned. Okay. And we've all heard the terrible renditions of everything that our kids could possibly have come up with. So, what makes it worse?
Imagine all those kids had a giant serpent-looking recorder, and every kid had to play that instead, and it sounded worse. That's what the serpent is.
Okay, well, that sums that up pretty good.
The recorder is so bad that literally everyone learns to play it, and nobody does. Okay. Everyone learns how to play it, and nobody continues with it.
I'm done. I have my answer. I'm going to give this one to Kevin. Just for that comment alone. That's a very good point. Everybody learns it, and nobody wants to do it again.
Nobody learns the serpent because it's repulsive.
Nobody learns the didgeridoo because nobody can get one.
Oh, you can get one. Anyway, let's move on.
Where are you going to get one from? You couldn't make it, I guess.
Sports.
I can order one on Amazon. What are you talking about?
All right. Hey. I've made my ruling. Let's move on. All right. Sports. What is the dumbest rule in sports? And we're going to start with, I think, we're going to start with Jeff this time.
Oh, geez. Okay. I picked baseball managers wearing uniforms.
Okay.
What? That's a rule.
It is a rule. I had to look it up because I didn't think he was right on this, so I looked it up. But it is a rule.
It's in the rule book. It's the
They have to do it.
rule. They have to, and they have to have a number.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're never going to go onto the field and play. It's literally the dumbest thing ever.
They have to. They have to be indexed. Yeah.
They have to be indexed. I have no idea why. It's the dumbest rule in sports. They look ridiculous when they go out there and they're yelling at the ump as like they're like 55 or 6-year-old man wearing a baseball uniform. They look like they're 6. I mean, they're throwing their hat down. They're kicking dirt.
They look like they're having a temper tantrum. Yeah,
it's like they've got a little slugger's hat on.
Yeah, if you're like John Gibbons, you're spitting tobacco or like whatever, or seeds on the fucking thing, and you literally look like a little child. And it's the only sport where that's allowed. It's like, imagine a hockey coach was wearing gear.
He would have to wear like full gear on the bench. Yeah,
or a football player had to wear. A football coach had to, like Bill Belichick was wearing a Patriots uniform with a number on it. It just be like, I don't know, it looks silly to me.
All right, you're good then.
It's a dumb rule.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's reset the clock. Kevin Millard.
I laughed because I almost picked yours, Jeff. But I picked designated hitter in the American League.
No way.
I don't understand it at all. This guy gets up 3 times a game and swings the bat and then sits back down. Is he really a baseball player?
Like 7 times.
What?
Sometimes more than 3 times.
Yeah, but let's take an average. 3 times, 4 times, somewhere around there.
Okay, regardless, why is it a stupid rule?
Because half the league does it another way. The National League, the pitchers bat. Why is a pitcher so special that he can't swing a bat in the American League? Like it's every other player has to do 2 things.
So now I'm a layman when it comes to baseball. I'm not a fan of it at all.
Me neither.
So you're telling me that half of the major league follows this rule and the other half doesn't?
Yes.
But they're in the same league.
They get the national.
They're separated, and then they play the World Series, right? They're in different conferences, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. That is pretty stupid, I think. Yeah, you're right.
And you have this useless player. It's like it's so that people that are good at batting but don't know how to field can still make millions, I guess. I don't know.
The useless player is the pitcher trying to hit. You missed the whole point. They're going to go to a universal designated hitter. The fact that
why have one at all? Why not just have less batters?
Why not? Because it's always 9. Is the way the game is designed. You have to have 9 batters.
Why?
Because the way the game has always been.
Because it's a rule that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Because there's not players on the baseball team.
When you say that's just the way it is, that means that it doesn't matter.
It used to be your way where you wanted the pitcher to hit because the pitcher used to be able to hit when the pitcher could only throw like 70 miles an hour tops. Now the pitcher can throw over 90. And like, so back in the day, a pitcher who sucked at hitting could get a hit.
All right.
But now he can't. He sucks. Like the pitchers are terrible.
All right. You've been beeped twice. Don't let us beep you 3 times.
Passionate.
All right.
Chris, about the subject.
Chris, we haven't heard from you yet. Let's hear what you picked.
You know what's weird is that we all chose the sport of baseball, but different
kind of signs up to me that I'm kind of right on this one. That baseball's terrible, but anyway,
Jody wins this answer.
I win this one. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
So my stupid rule is that on the 3rd strike in baseball, if the pitcher drops the ball, the runner can still run. So,
really,
like this guy, this is a rule.
Okay.
If the pitcher drops the ball, the runner, and he strikes out. Let's say he gets his 3rd strike, but the pitcher drops the ball. The runner can still run. Why?
Do you mean the catcher, Chris?
You mean the catcher?
He's probably wrong. He doesn't even know his own rule.
If the catcher drops the ball.
All right.
If the catcher drops the ball.
We're going to say he just misspoke. All right.
What? Yeah, I just misspoke.
All right.
Okay, the reason this is a stupid rule is okay. Let's say the pitcher does like a pretty bad pitch outside. You know what? The catcher, the batter swings and misses anyways. He swings at it, or he swings at a really bad pitch, and the catcher can't possibly catch it because it's way outside. As soon as it tips his glove and goes to the backboards, that runner can run. We are rewarding this runner.
Okay.
We're rewarding.
So just so I understand this rule, what you're saying is if somebody already has 2 strikes and the pitcher throws the ball at the catcher and the catcher can't catch it, but they still swing for it anyway, and it's technically now a strike, it's now considered a foul or something and they can run.
They can still run.
It's a live ball, and it's a good thing.
So it's now an error then.
It's an error. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an error because the ball hit the dirt. That's the rule in baseball.
Okay, so it's a shitty pitch to begin with. That rule sounds like it's in place to avoid pitchers being douchebags at the end.
No, but it's a shitty hitter. If he's gonna swing at a ball like that anyways, why does he get rewarded and get to run?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because the catcher didn't catch the ball.
All right, fair enough.
He struck out already.
Jeff, why is your rule the more dumb, I guess, than the rule that Chris just mentioned?
They both picked technical rules that actually make sense for the game. Like they picked 2 rules that don't disagree.
Okay, I understand Chris's then, and I get why you're saying that. Why is Kevin's a technical rule then?
Because they figured, okay, so once pitchers started throwing a certain amount of miles per hour, okay, at a certain point, most pitchers can't hit, because when you start in your whole process of becoming a pitcher or a hitter, it's really hard to do both. You have to focus all your energy on one thing. So if you're a pitcher and you go to hit, you'd be like any 4 of us going up and trying to hit a major league fastball. It's not going to happen. Right. No. So like if you watch a National League, like it's ridiculous because every 9 guys, 1 guy doesn't matter. And then the manager has to like constantly take these guys out.
If this is such a good rule to have, why is it only being practiced on one side of the league?
Because the national, it's a lot of history, and I have to go into it. But
I'm just asking.
Why do pitchers not have to be good at batting? Like, why do we just accept that? Because every other player on the field has to be good at 2 things, but the pitcher only has to concentrate on pitching.
Because the pitcher has to throw up to 100 pitches. Yeah. Like the starting pitcher might throw 100 pitches a game. Yeah. How can you expect that guy, his arm, to still work at batting?
So the rule is really there for fatigue then?
That's his job.
Oh, yeah.
No. You have to understand. Like,
on the other division, they expect the pitchers to do this. Then,
yes, and it's ridiculous, and they should go to DH, which is what Kevin was not arguing for. Kevin's arguing that the pitcher should hit, I
gave 2 options: either the pitcher should hit, or no pitcher should hit, and they.
What he's saying is it's dumb because it's only being served.
What I'm saying is that the actual having a designated hitter is stupid. Because that person does almost nothing.
So he's saying that you shouldn't have the pitcher. You should have the pitcher hit. Then you would rather the American League hit the pitcher.
I would rather one of 2 things: either the pitcher hits, or no pitchers hit, and there's no designated hitter. You just go to 8 batters.
But they're never going to do that. They're never going to go to 8 batters. That's not going to happen.
Okay. All right. I've heard enough of this. Chris, why is your rule dumber than Jeff's?
My rule is dumber than both rules and Jeff's.
Okay. All right.
Because I think that my rule is rewarding the worst of all the athletes. Like the pitcher first off, the pitcher did a good pitch because he got the batter to swing. The catcher tried his damned hardest to catch that ball. Maybe it was out of the zone or something. That's why it didn't get hit in the first place. And you're rewarding the batter who swung through and just missed this ball, that he still gets to run. He still gets to run, even though he didn't hit the ball.
You could look at it as penalizing an error, not rewarding the batter.
Okay, a big reason why Chris's rule exists is because when a guy has to get you out on strike 3, but the hitter also knows that. So he knows that he can't throw him a junk ball. He's going to swing at it, and then it's going to go into the dirt. So, like, he knows the catcher has to catch it. So if he does not catch it or it's a wild ball, then it's basically a single anyway. So it gives the batter a better chance on when he has 2 strikes against him, which is what you want in baseball anyway. It makes it more exciting that way.
You don't want that. No, you want the batter to actually hit the ball. You don't want him to like swing at a wild pitch and just run.
Right, but exactly. So that's why this rule is like a deterrent against the pitcher, saying you can't throw like this wild, crazy ball. Get him to swing at it because then if the ball goes into the dugout, that's a single anyway.
No, okay. I think I'm going to make my decision here. I'm going to go with Kevin on this one. Because Chris's, I understand why you're saying it's a dumb rule. But it serves a purpose, and Jeff's isn't really hurting anybody. But Kevin's is literally slanting half.
That is not true, Jody. It's hurting a 50-plus-year-old man's ego, and that is.
It's okay. The amount of money he's making right now, I'm sure he can wash his tears away with his cash. I'm sure. We lost Chris apparently, so Chris might be out for the next one. I don't know.
For those of you keeping track on the score, that is 3 points for Kevin and 1 point for Chris, and none for Jeff so far.
That's not true. Jeff won one.
I have not.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
No.
Wow. Kevin's just taking it away today.
Chris is doing almost nothing, and I'm still losing to him.
I guess we'll have to see how it keeps going. All right. Next one, even though Chris isn't here. History. What is the worst car ever made? I have a pretty good history when it comes to cars, so I do know quite a lot. So we'll see what you guys can do to convince me. Let's go with Kevin Millard first.
Well, keeping with my Back to the Future theme, I picked the DeLorean.
Worst
car ever made because it's ugly. The stainless steel is awful, and they don't work. They just simply don't work. Everyone who has one is constantly fixed. They fix it more than they drive it. It never worked. It was never a good car. It always broke down.
But it worked for Marty McFly.
I watched that comedians in cars getting coffee with Seinfeld? Jerry Seinfeld, and he picked somebody up in one of those, and they had a backup car and needed it because the one they had broke down. This is the worst car ever. Gull-wing doors aren't even good. Nothing is good about it.
What car did you pick?
The DeLorean.
Okay.
I'm assuming the 84 DeLorean. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Chris Seymour, what is the worst car in history?
Okay, the worst car that I picked is the Yugo.
The Yugo, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know about this.
I'm very familiar with the Yugo. Go ahead.
Okay. The Yugo came out in the 80s. And the reason it's named the Yugo is obvious. It was made in Yugoslavia. Communist country at that time. It was made by the government of Yugoslavia and shipped over to us in Canada. There weren't that many shipped to Canada, actually. There were quite a few more shipped to the U.S. The attraction of this car back in the 80s, circa 85, 86, I guess, that's when they came out, was that they were very inexpensive. You could buy a brand new car then for like $4,000, but you're getting yourself a Yugo. And I can't describe really the look of it. Imagine a Chevette.
It's like a Reliant, but
it looks like a Chevette, but more boxy.
Yeah.
Looks like a really shitty, boxy Chevette. The interior of this thing is all plastic. Like literally zero safety features at all. Just the fact that it was communist made and like shipped over here for our consumption meant that years later, like parts were very hard to get. The thing had fucking 55 horsepower. So it's not like you're going fast in this thing anyways. The timing belt had to be replaced every 40,000 kilometers because it would just break. And I think I'm running out of time. So I just want to say the
18
last
seconds,
thing.
Chris. 18 seconds.
18 seconds. The movie, the kids' movie, Cars 2. There was a gang called the Hugos, and they were all Hugos, and they were like the loser gang.
All right.
All right.
Jeff, what was your pick?
Oh, Jody. So in 1971, if you walked into a Ford dealer, you could walk out with a moving death trap. The 1971 Ford Pinto.
Wicked car.
Not a wicked car. It's a moving death trap.
Wicked car as long as you didn't tap the back bumper.
If you tack the back bumper, it could spontaneously burst into flames, the fuel tank, trap you inside, and kill you and cook you alive in an oven. This happened to multiple people. They went through a lawsuit in California, which awarded $128 million for a claim against the company. Like this happened multiple times. Like they lost more money than they made ever on this car because they rushed it into production because they were threatened by overseas companies coming up with faster subcompact cars. Okay, so the Ford Pinto came out, and I can't think of a scarier thing in my life than being trapped inside a small Ford, dying by burning alive. I mean, there's nothing worse than that. Man.
Well, that paints quite a picture. All right.
Not only did you burn alive, you burned alive in a Pinto.
In a Pinto.
That's going to be on your gravestone, man. There's nothing you can do about that.
Honestly, that's going to be hard to top.
You can burn alive in all these cars, by the way.
Well, you can. The DeLorean wasn't known for killing people. It was just known for being crappy.
Never got up.
The Yugo had no safety features at all, but it essentially was a shit car that, it was a write-off car anyway. Kevin, what makes the DeLorean a worse car than, let's say, the Pinto?
I'm not really sure. Jeff made a pretty good argument when people are dying. It's weird, but all I'm going to say about the DeLorean is if you're going to get anywhere in a DeLorean, you're going to need a DeLorean, an additional DeLorean, and probably another car to get there because it won't get you anywhere. If we're talking about it being a car, being a mode of transportation, it's worse than the bus. It doesn't go.
Buses are far more reliable. That is for sure.
It's just awful.
All right, fair enough. Chris, what makes your car worse than a Pinto?
You know what? My feelings on this are people actually restore Pintos. There's crazy people out there who restore Pintos.
Oh, there's people that restore Yugos. I don't think
No, I was just going to say that. Nobody restores Yugos. Nobody.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's somebody.
Being like,
I've been at a car show where there was a Yugo that was restored. So,
well, that's just to show you how crappy they used to be. That's it. With
the Pinto. I mean, you fixed that fuel tank. I'm sure the Pinto's not going to cook you alive.
There are DeLorean collectors because it's iconic because of the movie Back to the Future.
They collect them because they need several of them to get anywhere.
It might be a bad car, the DeLorean, but at least you could put it in your garage, and it's kind of a chick magnet. There's some good things with the DeLorean. I mean, you get.
Honestly,
only because of the movie, though.
I actually knew a person who owned a DeLorean, and what Kevin is saying is absolutely correct. It was a terrible car.
And didn't they have all these parts that only DeLorean had, and it was so hard to get them replaced?
And when the guy who runs the company is a cokehead, you kind of have to think twice about things.
DeLorean parts. Try to find a Yugo part now.
Nobody.
Oh, that's true.
Died in a DeLorean because they don't move.
That's true.
That's right.
It's hard to die in road fatalities when the car doesn't move. That's true.
They're the stoner vehicle.
All right. I think I've heard enough. I'm going to give this one to Jeff.
I'm back on the board. Let's go.
Well, you're not back on the board. You're just on the board.
I'm back on the board, Dave.
What's the score right now?
Dave, can we get a update on the score, please?
Yeah. So the score. 1 second. So we have 3 points for Kevin, 1 point for Chris, and 1 point for Jeff.
Okay.
So yeah.
So this next one's probably going to determine who's going to be in the speed round then.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. All right. Wild card.
Unless Kevin wins it, and then we have to do some sort of other type.
I think we're gonna have to do the speed round with.
Yeah, you have to now.
You two, yeah. So anyway, wild card. What is the best video game released before the year 2000? This is a topic that's very near and dear to me, as anybody might know. So there won't be any bullshitting going on here. Chris Seymour. Let's start with you.
Okay, my choice was Super Mario Brothers 3, and Jody, of course you know this game. I can't bullshit you about this game, but do you remember the first time you ever put this game in your Nintendo and you hit that first block and you got that leaf out and Mario turned into a fucking raccoon and you were like, holy shit, Mario can fly for a little bit here. I
actually do, yes.
Yeah, that was an amazing feeling for all of us, like 13-year-olds at the time, right?
It was new and different, yes.
You know what Super Mario 3 had, like, it was so advanced just for the NES, anyways. It was leaps and bounds again ahead of the first Super Mario, and definitely the second one, which was kind of a shit show. You know what? I think it's the first game that I remember playing where there was maps. You know, Super Mario 3, you could have maps. It had openness. Like you could choose your own destiny. Like if I don't want to do this level now, I can go to this one. There were maps. There were mini games. It was the first time you could like fucking jump on a turtle and pick up the shell. You could pick up your own shell. You could kick your own shell. You know what? Super Mario, the original, it's always Bowser at the end. This is the first one. You get to that boat and you're like, who's going to be the boss at the end of this one? You know?
One of the Koopa kids.
It's always one of the Koopa kids, and you get that wand after you finally beat them. And it was also in an age of time where we didn't have internet, right? So you couldn't learn all the secrets at one time. Like it was probably like I probably played Super Mario 3 for like a year before I figured out, hey, if I duck down on this white square, I can go like behind the scenes, and like you get the warp whistles there.
There we go. There's your 2 minutes.
Okay.
Well,
Sorry.
Very good points, Chris. Let's go with Jeff Mader next.
Oh, okay. I picked Tetris. Okay, so iconic game, sold all a bajillion, just as much as probably Super Mario Bros. I mean, if you really consider over its entire lifetime. But that's neither here nor there. I think my key argument here with Tetris is that Tetris is one of the few positive video games that actually play for your brain. They've actually done lots of studies on Tetris, and it actually helps with people quitting smoking, people going through a sickness, people who have lazy eye, people who are going through Alzheimer's. People, it's actually a very good game because it's very simple, but it's undefeatable. But it's always keeping your mind moving. It's making you think in a very. What's that?
It's defeatable. You never played on Game Boy.
Well, I mean, that's one of the versions. I'm just saying, like, you could play an infinite Tetris game, and just like you could never beat it. But if you could beat it, that's pretty impressive. But they still play today. There's still guys that go against each other in Tetris battles. It's a game that will never die. This game will be played in the future. This is how simple but beautiful this video game is. It came out in like 1984 and then really got its going by the late 80s. But it's just a fantastic video game. It's created by a Russian guy. I mean, it's kind of an outlier, but it's kind of beautiful that it is an outlier.
Cool. All right, that was very well said. Kevin Millard.
I picked A Link to the Past.
Oh boy.
Wow. That's quite a reaction, but anyway.
One of the fucking worst games ever, except that
this is the best game ever. This is one of the first games I remember that really was able to set a mood in a game. Like with the rain, the music and everything in this game is amazing. It's got total replayability. I've replayed this game probably 15 times. All the way through. I'm totally entertained every time. It's it's the first Zelda was so good, and then we had the Adventures of Link, which was a tragedy, and then this one comes along, and it just blew me away when I was a kid. I couldn't even believe how good this game was. There's a whole bunch of hidden stuff to find. It's still true to that first game. The mirror going into the next sort of universe that's almost the same but not quite, that became a thing that went through all the rest of the Zelda games after this game. And the mechanics, everything is just great about this game. It's hard enough to be fun, but not so hard that it's frustrating. And it's way better than stacking blocks.
Stacking blocks hey, come on, it has a positive effect. You didn't even pick the best Zelda game pre-2000. Ocarina of Time would take that slot. So
no way. No,
I would just say
love the top-down Zelda games. They're way better.
You think? Right. Sorry, Chris, what were you saying?
I was saying the Adventures of Link was my favorite Zelda game. I love that one.
That was awful. You're a monster. That's a terrible game.
See, Jody.
You had to go into different cities. You had to talk to people. You had to figure shit out. Then you had to go into the caves. And,
all right.
It was an awesome game.
I got some questions for you guys, but I want to say something first. You guys have managed to pick 3 games that are absolutely near and dear to my heart. All 3 of these games I think are fantastic. Jeff's game I play literally all the time. Anybody who's ever been to my house knows that there's Game Boys in both my bathrooms, and there's always Tetris available because it's a good shitter game for sure. Super Mario 3, iconic, probably my favorite Mario game for sure. And Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, probably my favorite Zelda. So even though I will agree with you, Ocarina of Time is a great game.
Oh, it's a solid game, but not the best.
It's not the best Zelda in my opinion, for sure. But anyway, past that, I have a couple quick questions here. Chris, right now, out of the 3 that have been picked, the best-selling game out of all 3 that you guys have picked is actually Tetris. Tetris has sold more than anybody else by a landslide, actually. Why is your
202 million copies? By the way.
Well, it's only on. It is on various platforms for sure.
Don't just go by like the NES. Go by just like the NES Tetris. I think Super
Mario. It says best video game. It doesn't.
It doesn't say what console.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is, it's a very popular game now. Super Mario 3 did sell quite well, and so did Link to the Past. Actually, out of all 3 of them, Link to the Past actually has the least amount of sales. But it's also a different type of a genre game. So not everybody's going to be into that one. Chris, why is your game better than Tetris? I guess would be the real question I want to know.
You know what? Because Jeff's is more of a mind game for sure. Setting up the lines, whatever. But I grew up with Super Mario 3, and I remember as a kid there's 8 levels and there's 8 different worlds in Super Mario 3, and every one was different, and you would discover something new. The first one was the first one you discover the boat, you discover the castle, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is how this game works. Then you go into the desert, you discover these guys. Then by level 4, do you remember, Jody, the first time you ever get to level 4 in Super Mario 3 and you're like, holy fuck, look how huge everything is.
Yeah, everything was triple the size or double the size.
Everything is like quadruple the size, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. It's just like the creators of that game went to so much effort to make every world so different that it's amazing. And like as a kid, you're just so excited to see every new level and all the new developments that are coming. And then even by the last world, you're like, wow, this one's on fire.
So to summarize, variety is what you're basically saying. Is variety. Variety is really the winner here.
It's definitely variety. Like every level is so different. Like even level 7, I remember level 7. Like you just had to keep going up and up and up. Right. Like it wasn't
grass and pipe world. Yeah,
it was all about going up. So every level had different challenges. And as a kid, imagine the first time seeing the frog suit.
That was the longest 1 minute I've ever had. Okay. Anyway, next one. No offense, Chris. Kevin, you're clearly the least accessible game out of the 3.
Yes.
it's not. That's not saying it's a bad game by any stretch. Why do you think people were so drawn to? If let's just compare this with Super Mario 3 for a second. These are two games that both offer an adventure. One has a much deeper story than the other one, which would be your game. What makes yours better than Super Mario 3?
It's the fact that it really sets a mood. It's not like you feel like you are on an adventure. You're this character. It's role playing. It's got the puzzles in this, like Jeff was saying about Tetris. It's a mind game. Well, Zelda is too. You're figuring out all of these puzzles as you go along, and you're not really doing that with say Super Mario 3. You're just trying to get to the next platform.
Yeah,
and it's a fun game, and don't get me wrong, I love that game. It's not as rich. It's not as well thought out. It's I don't know how to explain it. The Link to the Past just seems more complete. You feel like you've accomplished something when you finally finish it.
All right. Fair enough. Jeff.
Yeah.
We have two solid games that we've just talked about, which are both games that sold fairly well. Yours obviously is the top for sure, and it's also more accessible. The other two games are really only available on Nintendo platforms. Okay. Whereas Zelda is pretty much available on almost everything. You can probably buy a version for Tetris, excuse me. Right. Tetris is really accessible for pretty much everything. Past the accessibility element, what else do you think makes the game good?
What makes Tetris good? Tetris is a strategy game. It's every time it's kind of like a curling game, or a golf game, or whatever game you play, where no matter what decision you make, the consequences of that decision will be changed no matter what. Like there's not infinite, but there's a certain calculated amount of moves that you could do. So if you really figure out how to move the blocks around, and then you figure out it really helps with your cognitive ability more so than the other two games. Now I do agree with Kevin that Zelda is a figure it out game, but it's also a kid's game. It's also like a fun game, and it's not meant to be overly difficult. Like you're meant to figure it out. Whereas Tetris could be as difficult as you want it to be, or it can be as easy as you want it to be. You can change the constraints of the game. You can make it faster, you can make it slower, you can make it bigger, you can make a certain amount of pieces more. What makes Tetris so fun is it really instituted this whole idea of strategy on almost like a turn-based thing very early. I mean, it's one of the first games to do it. The longevity of Tetris is incredible, just based off, I think we'll be playing it in 100 years. I think that's how important Tetris is in the video game.
Because Tetris is addictive. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a great game. It's like that, like in Star Trek, that game that Wesley and Ashley Judd play. That's addictive, but is that a good game? Putting the disc
in the tube,
the little things like.
If you're talking about what the best video game is, you could say what's good, or you could also say for me Tetris is the best because of one, it's sold the most out of these three games, and two, it has had the most positive effect on humanity out of these three games by far.
I don't think Tetris has the greatest effect on humanity.
Oh, it absolutely has. There's been multiple studies about how it helps multiple people who have cognitive decline, have all sorts of different mental struggles. Tetris helps. It also helps Jody when he takes a poop. So, I mean, these things
That's a very good point.
These things are important, and you need Tetris in your life to keep you sharp, or else your mind will turn to mush if you just play Super Mario Bros. 3 all day.
And just to be clear, I actually have portable versions of all three of these games available in my toilets. So just so you know, I'm not biased that way. I actually do. Yep. Anyway, this is a really tough one for me. There's a couple points that stood out to me. I did like Kevin's point of the fact that it's more of an adventure. That's a lot of fun. Chris's point of new things everywhere is kind of cool as well.
Linear design as well.
Yeah, well, it's a different design for sure. I'm gonna have to give this to Jeff, and the reason why I'm giving this to Jeff is, and it really hurts me to do this, but the reason why I'm giving it to Jeff is he did make some very valid points when it came to other uses of the game. which is something no one plays Mario 3 to, get their cognitive abilities better. No one plays Zelda for that either. So I'm gonna give Jeff that one.
Dave, hit me with some Mambo.
Oh, 1 second.
Oh, well, it's not good if you're not ready, Dave.
Well, it's on the other one. What do you want?
If people doing this, Dave, there better be a Mambo.
All right.
Go on. All right. So where does that put us then?
Computer music. No, not that. Something Latin.
Something Latin.
Specify.
A mambo.
Now he's not gonna dance.
That's more like it.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's get going.
Okay. So Kevin and Jeff are actually in it. Sorry, Chris. Looks like you didn't make it to the speed round.
Can I still watch?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If anything, I might actually call on you for your opinion during the speed round. So I'd love for you to stay if you could.
Don't. Chris always sides against me in the speed round, so don't ask.
No, it's not true.
Vote still goes to me, gentlemen. It doesn't really matter. All right. Well, let's start the speed round then. Do you have those questions ready, Dave?
Yep. Here we go.
So the speed round, we're going to do what? 1 minute each, I guess, or 2 minutes?
30 seconds each.
30 seconds. Wow, that is a speed round. Okay. So speed round. Movies. Better sci-fi sequel, Terminator 2 or Aliens?
I mean,
Terminator 2.
you can go first, sure.
All right. So Kevin picked Terminator 2. So Jeff gets Aliens. 30 seconds, Kevin. Tell me why.
Terminator 2 was revolutionary. It's one of the only good Terminator movies. The first one isn't great. This is like almost a triumph for CGI in this movie. It's got a great story, sort of. Linda Hamilton is awesome in this.
Sort of.
I'm not big on the going back in time and killing people thing, so it's sort of a story.
All right. Okay, Jeff, Aliens.
Aliens was also made by the same guy who made Terminator 2, but it's a better movie. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Sigourney Weaver for acting, which nobody was ever nominating Arnold Schwarzenegger for acting or Edward Furlong because he's annoying in that movie. The Aliens is it actually improves on the first movie. I find Terminator 2 in some ways improves on it, but in other ways, I mean, it's cringy in other ways. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is acting. He's reading the lines off the windshield while he's driving and stuff. Like there are some things wrong with Terminator 2.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give this one to Kevin. Even though
that's
why?
Yeah, I would give this one to Jeff.
I'm giving this one to Kevin. It was more of a milestone. Aliens was a great movie, but you didn't really tap into any reason why the movie was good, other than they won awards. They didn't the storyline didn't really progress at all in Aliens. I would disagree with that. We learned a little bit more about aliens. The little girl in Aliens is also annoying. Well, that is true, but he didn't mention that at all. But if Kevin did, that would have been amazing. Anyway,
I have a note for future on this speed round. We should have questions where we choose the answer, because I'm forced to argue for Aliens, or I'm forced to argue for Terminator 2, and I don't necessarily like. Maybe I don't like Aliens as much as I like Terminator 2. So then the argument isn't as
have more open-ended.
All right. We actually discussed that before the episode started.
I think that's a better idea.
So I think that's something we definitely need to talk to the creator of the show about.
Okay. Well, we're retooling some things.
Oh,
okay.
He's in my ear right now. Anyway, all right, next round. What is better quiz show, Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune?
Jeopardy.
All right.
Okay, Jeff, go.
You went first. Go.
Wheel of Fortune is a glorified ring around the posy, game show. I mean, it's like you have to figure out the word. Jeopardy is it's fast facts coming at you. They're the answers, but you got to find out what the question was. It's way more intellectually stimulating. Wheel of Fortune's for like trailer park people that walk in and go, "Oh, I think I can figure that out." I don't know. That's the best I got, guys.
All right, Kevin.
You just highlighted all the strengths of Wheel of Fortune. It's an incredible show. When you watch those clip shows on YouTube where they've got like funny answers, you never see Jeopardy.
Yeah, like the one that's naggers.
Wheel of Fortune all the time. Watching people screw up what the word is in the worst way is the best. The absolute best.
What?
Jeopardy's boring. Just boring.
Jeopardy's for smart people, okay? Wheel of Fortune is for these people.
And it bores smart people to death.
But at least you learned something. Wheel of Fortune is just like, hey, look at this hot lady turn the letter. You know, it's
on Jeopardy.
All right.
You hear the answer and then you immediately forget it.
All right, I've heard enough. I'm gonna go with Jeopardy. On this one. No, I don't. This one I know. Jeopardy wins this one.
I never liked Wheel of Fortune. That was an easy one.
Oh, okay. Well, that worked out well.
Wheel of Fortune I always turned off after like 2 minutes. I'm so bored. You know what? Boring.
All right, fair enough. All right, next one. Music, most overrated band, Aerosmith or Rolling Stones?
Oh, that's you can go first.
Rolling Stones.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
The only reason the Rolling Stones are more overrated than Aerosmith is because they are more popular than Aerosmith. They're both terrible. I don't like either of them. But the Rolling Stones, people love the Rolling Stones so much. There's like 4 good songs total in the 3,000 songs that they have. It's derived. It's garbage. Every song is basically the same.
All right, Jeff.
You could say the same thing about Aerosmith. I mean, all their songs are basically the same too. I think the musicians are better in Aerosmith. I think the lead singers are equally annoying in both bands. So I mean, it really comes down to which band you think plays better music. I feel like Rolling Stones have better songs as far as like more eclectic. Aerosmith is kind of always the same. I'd rather listen to like a good Rolling Stone song over a good Aerosmith song because I'm more annoyed by Steven Tyler's voice than Mick Jagger's voice.
Chris, I want your opinion on this one because you're a big music fan. So what do you think?
I would take Rolling Stones overrated over Aerosmith any day. I think, if anything, I think that Aerosmith is underrated.
Really?
Oh yeah, like think of the shit they did back in the day. Like they're like one of the first bands that got together with a rap group. They got together with Run DMC. You know what? Aerosmith is not underrated, overrated. They're totally underrated.
All right, I'm gonna go with my companion's word here. I'm gonna give Kevin that one.
All right.
Where's the ding ding?
Coming.
Yeah, this producer isn't great.
No,
he's getting high.
Doesn't even know the format.
Hold on, guys. I gotta do it.
Oh, there we go. 20 minutes later. All right. Speed round sports.
I gotta record it.
Best sports to watch while drunk: baseball or hockey?
Hockey. That's not even. That's not
even a question.
You're drunk watching baseball. You're just gonna pass out in the sun, get a sunburn. You're drunk watching hockey. You're into it. It's like you're yelling at people. You might get into a fight. It's exciting. Drunk baseball. You might as well go have a nap in the park.
Is that all?
That's all I got.
That's all he's got. All right, Kevin.
Kevin's got to give up.
I agree.
Okay, we're gonna give that one to Jeff automatically.
I agree. All right.
All right.
You can watch baseball.
No, because you're sleeping.
All right, here we go.
Well, that was quicker that time.
All
right, speed round history. Best president in recent years: Trump or George W. Bush?
I'll pick Trump.
Trump. All right, let's hear it.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. Donald Trump's better than George W. Bush only because he's less of a murderer. George W. Bush is responsible for over 1 million deaths. Trump is only probably in the 100,000. I mean, the Yemen thing isn't very good, but George W. Bush is way worse. He's in bed with even worse people than Trump, even though they're the same people. But Trump is only worse because his personality. He's a dick. He's an asshole. But George W. Bush is like pretends to be the dumb guy when he's not. He's really a mass murderer.
Oh, okay. All right, Kevin.
George W. Bush is no, I can't say that. He's better than Trump. I was going to say best president in recent years, but I couldn't actually have that come out of my mouth. He's better than Trump because Trump's death toll is yet to be determined. We don't know. And the country didn't try to tear itself apart under George W. Bush, but they are under Trump. And it is a total lack of any kind of leadership at all.
George W. Bush put in like stuff like the Patriot Act, which has led us to this era of surveillance, and now everything's going to go haywire, and the government has.
All right, I want to hear from Chris on this one. Who do you think had a better debate there?
Even though I don't agree with his answer, I think that Jeff had a better debate.
Yeah, I believe so as well. So I'm going to give it to Jeff.
All right.
Can we get a tally of our total? Are we tied?
Yeah. So the tally is 5 for Kevin and 5 for Jeff. So we're tied actually going into this last question.
Now, this last question I didn't write, so I'm just going to read it as it shows up. This is going to be a question that's coming directly from our producer, Dave.
Is it Babylon 5 related?
Speed round wild card. Who gives better sport? What? Who gives better spots?
Hulk Hogan. Spots?
Oh, Hulk Hogan. Who did the better intro?
Macho Man. I mean, it's not even Macho Man. Anytime.
So when they did the interviews, guys.
Yeah, I get it now.
All right, we're good. All right, let's hear you, Jeff.
Not even close. I mean, Hulk Hogan had a lot of energy, but Macho Man, every time he had Mean Gene on there, you know you were going to get some magic with Macho Man. I mean, he was so coked up out of his mind that you were always interested to see what he was going to do. Hulk Hogan had to be the man. He had to be like the family-friendly, kid-friendly kind of guy. Macho Man got to he got to go way off the rails with his stuff. I mean, I mean, you can just go back and watch those videos with Macho Man. He's hilarious. I mean, there's no one better than the Macho Man giving spots before a match.
All right, Kevin.
I will say there is somebody better, and it's Roddy Piper or the Ultimate Warrior.
Actually, Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage, that would have been a much better question.
Hulk Hogan. No, I'm going to have to give this to Jeff. Hogan wasn't good at the spot.
Yeah.
He wasn't good at it. Yeah, he was awful.
Brother, his head a lot.
All right, well, I guess that makes Jeff the winner of Trivial Debates number 40.
Yeah,
congratulations. What a comeback.
Hey, Dave, you better get ready.
You better be ready.
Winner of season 40, baby.
The fire is burning.
What the hell are you listening to? I don't know. Am I having a stroke?
I was taking requests. Jeff was giving me.
Am I stroking?
Black is white. Pat's living with dogs.
Hey, Dave, on the best podcast, the producer is quiet until he's spoken to.
It's true. It's true. Anyway, well, congratulations, Jeff. That pretty much wraps up, I guess, another Trivial Debates. Quite the comeback there, Jeff. Congratulations.
That's what they're calling me. I was down.
You were down. That's true.
3-1-0, and I came all the way back.
That's what they're calling me, the comeback kid.
All right, and I'm just going to remind everybody to follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and check out the other Mader Brothers various things under their umbrella, such as Live Long and Podcast, which is a Star Trek TV and movie review, which I happen to be part of. Actually, pretty much everybody here other than Chris, I believe, has participated at least at one time or another. And we have Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, which is scripted and reality TV show reviews. They do stuff like, that's really disturbing seeing Chris do that. Basically, they cover stuff like Westworld and what else do you guys cover? Survivor, stuff like that. Big Brother, I think you guys are planning on doing too. Right?
When it airs, yep.
Okay, fair enough. So just tune in for that stuff as well, guys. So I just want to thank our guests, Jeff Mader, thank you very much. Kevin Millard, always a pleasure to see you, and of course Chris Seymour, always a pleasure to have you as well. So I'm Jody, signing off, I guess. Is that all I have to do?
That's it.
All right.
Is that all I have to do?
I'm a terrible host.
They call me the comeback kid.
And all we see is this